I would like to welcome all the listeners to Infotainment today. This will be my latest episode. Welcome to you, and especially you. This is the Last Stop Podcast Shop for my approximately 5 to 10 listeners. It has improved, though, a little bit. Before we get into the program, I would like to welcome CJ back to host another episode, co-host, and should give him a appropriate fanfare noise here in post-editing. Yeah, so
thank you very much.
And Chad is coming via satellite, so I might adjust some things here. This is kind of an experimental deal we're doing, but let's dive right into it, and hopefully we can find some common ground and stuff. Oh, also, I've posted some things you won't hear on the podcast. It's at patreon.com/infotainment podcast. For you Star Trek fans and Longmire fans from Netflix, should enjoy these stories. And if you become a patron of those. But they won't appear on any podcast. So, do you want to start, or should I? As far as
I can start.
Sure.
The last time I was on, we talked about a story from Australia about the Sharknado, and I got another story from Australia, but not about a shark this time. It's about a gold nugget, an 8-pound gold nugget valued at about $190,000. Can you imagine that? $190,000 was discovered by a seasoned prospector in Australia. According to metal detector manufacturing company Minelab, the anonymous prospector found the nugget while using his metal detector in a worked-over area in the far southern edge of central Victoria's Golden Triangle. I have no idea where that's at, but somewhere in Australia.
Yes.
He says, I thought it was rubbish at first, maybe an old horseshoe, the prospector said, and about 12 inches below the ground, I could just barely make out the top of something. As I began to scrape away the clay and dig deeper, I really couldn't believe my eyes. This wasn't an old piece of steel in front of me. I had just unearthed a colossal gold nugget, a once-in-a-lifetime find. I was in total disbelief as I didn't think nuggets of this size were still around. The man had previously made a promise to split any large finds with his prospecting friends and plans to buy a van to travel across Australia with his share of the proceeds. The nugget, dubbed Friday's Joy, was sent to a bank vault where plans to have a replica have been made as the original is prepared for auction. I'm kind of wondering why they want a replica made of a gold nugget. Kind of odd, but what a find. I could quit my job and retire right now if I found a nugget like that.
Yeah, what was the size of it and how much it was worth? I was doing something here, and
it was valued at $190,000, and it was 8 pounds.
8 pounds.
8-pound gold nugget, only in Australia.
This wasn't found by Crocodile Dundee, was it?
No, it didn't say anything like that.
I think
just a prospector with his metal detector.
You just see him walking around with that big knife with a metal detector in, and that hat he wore.
Yeah, I see him skipping around. I have a golden nugget. I have a golden nugget.
I think he's had his tax problems and stuff, so maybe he could use the money.
Yeah, I think on Willy Wonka they had a golden ticket. This guy had a golden nugget.
Golden.
Only if we were that lucky.
Yes. I found some things here. Oh, I did find a 30-cent stamp. I forget the guy who was on it, but if I look around, I probably could find that again. I don't know if it's already been postmarked and it's not in real good shape, but James Dewey, I think it was, a 30-cent stamp.
Wow. Yeah, I was going through some money the other day, and I found a $2 bill, and I thought, man, that's pretty rare to find. And then the other day, somebody showed me a $2 bill they had, and I'm like, well, I guess mine's not so rare anyway. I was hoping maybe it would be worth, maybe $4, but no, somebody else brought up another one, and I'm like, well, mine can't be worth that much then.
You should record going through a drive-through with a $2 bill and just see what the guys, the young'un in the window says to you.
Hey, I had somebody pass on a fake penny to me, and I thought it was real, and I went to pay for something the other day, and the guy said, this isn't real, and he gave it back. I'm like, you're kidding me. I looked at it, and sure enough, it was made out of plastic. But I told him he could keep it and throw it away because I had no idea where it came from. But that's kind of weird.
I haven't heard of. I wish they'd get rid of pennies. I think coins should all go to paper, just like the dollar bill or $5 bill. You can get 25-cent paper bill for 25 cents. Coins, I hate carrying coins. And I've heard of a talk radio host in the cities, Tommy Mischke. I don't know if he's doing radio anymore or not. He used to do radio for WCCO, the powerhouse, and the AM dial. He said he actually threw away pennies. So what do? You save them, I guess. You'd have to save a whole boatload to amount to anything, but it's not like the mortician that we did a story a while back who collected a very different item. He had over 3,000 penises stored in jars and formaldehyde in his house. So,
yeah.
That's
well, I have my one weird story. What have you got on your end?
Well, actually, I got a story about a guy who cemented his head in a microwave, and and he almost died. Imagine that. He almost died from cementing his head in a microwave. All that for the sweet, sweet internet glory. Sometimes YouTube can be a wonderful place, shimmering with visual gems like the video of a dad who accidentally pointed a GoPro the wrong way for a whole vacation, or whatever this is. But often it's a hellscape, a place where PewDiePie makes millions playing video games. Assholes play sadistic pranks on people, and child stars vlog themselves into ruin. Jay Swingler is very good at navigating the hellscape, racking up more than 800,000 followers with videos of himself pulling, it says batshit stupid stunts. This week, however, he made the jump to international headlines after deciding he tried to cement his head inside a microwave. All that for sweet, sweet YouTube glory. Well, would you do something like that for YouTube? What's the most you would do?
If it was rubber cement and I could get my head out and I was offered a large sum of money, I might do it. But regular super glue or something, nah, I don't think so.
I don't know if I
guess if you turned it on, you could call him a real hothead.
Yeah. Real hothead. Yeah. Oh boy, I don't know if I could I'd be screaming my head off, but if I'd like bungee jump, or I guess it'd have to be something more unusual than that, but something I haven't done before. I could watch my vomit float through the air and stuff. Just like if I rode in a roller coaster. For some reason, I don't like roller coasters, and that sinking feeling when you go down, I just can't stand, and I scream bloody murder. But according to the Independent, Swingler and his buddies mixed several bags of polyfilla, a kind of quick-dry concrete, in a bucket, dumped it in a microwave, and stuck Swingler's head inside. Luckily, he had the forethought to bring a breathing tube in there with him and wear a grocery bag as a mask. But as anyone on Earth could have predicted, the stunt was a disaster. Yeah. Apparently, he wanted to make a mold of his head, envisioning some kind of microwave hat he could take off and put on it at will. But given the fact that he literally shoved his head into a pool of quick-drying cement, the appliance wound up getting stuck on, and his head was locked in so solidly his friends couldn't help him budge it. And after laughing a bit, then screaming a bit, yeah, I'd be screaming if my head was stuck in a microwave and I couldn't breathe. Then finally freaking out because Swingler was teetering on the brink of death, his friends wound up calling the police. Well, thank you, friends, for waiting that long to call the police. It took 5 firefighters in West Midlands, England, to get him out. The West Midlands Fire Service, Sean Dakin, told the BBC that Swingler could quite easily have suffocated or have been seriously injured, and the department is pretty pissed at him for wasting their time. But for what
a blockhead.
But for Swingler, the whole thing is eventually paid off. The video and his friends ultimately made of the incident has been viewed by more than 1 million times. It's strange.
What people do to watch stupid people. Or should I rephrase it? What stupid people do to watch stupid people.
Now I've just caught on to this guy. I think he's got a bunch of videos, but he's got a lot of views. Called this Catfish Cooley is what his name is, or his name for YouTube. But he did the Pocky One Chip Challenge, and they're like a corn chip or whatever, but they're individually wrapped in coffin boxes, and they're supposedly made with the hottest pepper on the planet. He says they're the Carolina Reaper. I always thought it was a ghost chili that was the hottest chili, but and you know that's going to be hot when they're placed in coffin boxes and only one chip in a wrapper. But this guy, he eats 2 of them one after the other, and he puts on Louisiana hot sauce on them besides. And boy, is he in pain for that. Now, I thought the guy was going to vomit, but he's done this hot food stuff before, so he didn't tear up. His face got a little red, and he was swearing quite a bit about that. And he goes, "That's the hottest chip I've ever found." And he has a big tattoo on his chest, and it says "void." And I thought, yeah, void of common sense. Plus the fact he was lactose intolerant, and he said, "Well, I'd much rather deal with the burning than throwing up in the bathroom for 2 days."
I was watching TV the other day, and I was watching the Ozzy and Jack show, and they went to Louisiana to the main Tabasco company, and they had Ozzy try their hottest hot sauce, and I guess Ozzy really likes hot sauce, but this was so hot that he started spitting it out and started swearing and stuff, and it was really quite humorous. And then his son told him, I hope you didn't get any on your hands, and if you did get any on your hands, don't touch your private parts.
I think there was one movie. I think it was Revenge of the Nerds or something like that, way back when the nerds put Icy Hot in all the jock straps for the football team, and they were running away to the bathroom, and the coach couldn't figure out why at first. But
that's funny. But what people will do to get on the internet and try to make their first few seconds of fame, I guess. So.
Yeah.
But hey, I've got a story not from Australia this time. It's actually from here in the United States, out of Oregon.
Sure.
There's an old saying in business that goes, the customer is always right, but the owner of a supermarket in Oregon must have been questioning the wisdom of that philosophy when a customer drove her car through the front of the store. The woman was angry that she was not allowed to purchase a large quantity of gift cards at a Safeway. I don't know if you've ever been to a Safeway, Randy, before, but they're just like a regular kind of a grocery store with a variety of different items other than food in it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to one?
I think in Missouri, back in the day, I think I was at a Safeway, but I don't see them around anymore.
Yeah, not too much up here. I think they're still around in the South, but anyway, this lady was 43 years old. Her name was Noah Fay. She tried to purchase $2,200 in gift cards, but when she tried to pay by check, the check did not clear. Well, needless to say, this Noah was pretty unhappy. Fay left the store, went into the parking lot, parked her vehicle outside the front doors. When an employee told her to move the vehicle, she started screaming about wanting to buy gift cards. She then drove her Chevrolet Tahoe through the front doors and into the supermarket, down one of the aisles of the store, sending shoppers fleeing, and then left the store through the back doors. Fay was charged with reckless endangering, hit and run, reckless driving, and criminal mischief. No one was injured as a result of the incident. But man, I wonder why she was so desperate to get gift cards. $2,200 for it.
You just never know. I wonder if she, on her way out of the drive-thru, she was able to purchase her cards. It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of the Blues Brothers movie where they're driving through the mall and looking at all the stores.
Yep. So she exited through the rear of the store, but I don't know if that meant she actually drove through, to the outside, or she thought this was a great parking spot right next to the door, and then left the store. I don't know.
Yeah, $2,200 worth of gift cards. She must have had a lot of people for Christmas presents to give to, I guess.
Yep, I bet they didn't get their gift cards.
Yeah.
She probably didn't even get to go to the Christmas party.
Yeah, if I don't think they do this show anymore. It was on True TV back when they showed other programs besides those Impractical Jokers, which is on like 23 hours a day. They used to do like the dumbest criminals and the dumbest partiers and all sorts of dumb things that have happened. But you see a lot of people crashing through like restaurants and convenience stores, and I don't know if most of them are having health problems or their brakes aren't working or what they're doing, and it was kind of wild to see some of that. But maybe you can get it on demand on your TV, but it's called The World's Dumbest, and I wish they would still show that program on True TV.
Anyway, that was a local story, or regional, I should say, or whatever you want to call it, at least something from the United States here. But what else have you been finding in your world of weird news articles?
Well, are you going to see The Force Awakens? That opens up fairly soon. In the
I hadn't planned on it.
Oh, I didn't know if you were kind of a sci-fi guy or not.
I like sci-fi, but it's just one of those things. If I have time, I'll go. If I don't, I don't.
But I don't know how much Mark Hamill's going to be in it, but he did a nice thing for a guy. This guy was in the industry and contacted Mark Hamill's agent because his boy was dying of terminal, the C word, which I won't say, but I want to keep this light. But I guess Mark Hamill, this kid idolized him, and Mark Hamill went to visit this child and spoke to him for quite a while about Luke Skywalker and stuff. So that was kind of nice. So maybe there are still some decent people in Hollywood, unlike what we've been hearing lately in the news.
Oh yeah, yep, definitely.
But
speaking of Hollywood, and maybe it's a weird place to put it, but let's keep everybody in California in our thoughts and stuff as they battle all those wildfires and stuff off that direction.
Definitely.
I guess while parts of California burn, other parts are doing weird stuff, and a few people doing some good stuff. So that's good.
You can see videos of people driving, and the sides of the hills and stuff are just glowing red on fire, and people are driving on the highway just right by it. And
I've got friends of mine in Arkansas. Their son is living in Hollywood right now. I think he's trying to take up acting or something, but he posted video just yesterday of him and his friends driving down the interstate and showing the fires off to the side of the road and stuff. Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, on my Twitter, which has now become Fire News and basically how we can bash Trump in so many ways, but that's what my Twitter has become. But Jerry Ryan, who played 7 of 9 in the Star Trek Voyager, said her little brother was a firefighter and he was hanging in a bucket from a helicopter, I don't know, going from fire to fire or something. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, we want to remember, and a lot of the celebrities have horses and stuff, and they were trying to round up trailers to get some of the horses out of the fire's way. So people, animals and houses, you gotta pray for them. I don't know. I guess in some ways we're unlucky, but some ways we're lucky. We don't have earthquakes and fires like that to deal with here, just like tornadoes in wintertime, I guess.
Yep. I was talking with a family member yesterday, and California has so many fires, you wouldn't think there'd be any land left to burn. Apparently there is. We've been hearing for years now about the fires out there. I'm surprised there's anything left to burn, actually.
Yeah, it's just like, where is Smokey the Bear when you need him?
I thought you were going to say where's Smokey the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yep, I don't know.
Well, kind of a different thing. I actually went to a concert by a couple of guys, and one of them had played with Glenn Campbell for 15 years. And the stories he told about meeting Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, he played with the Beach Boys, and Glenn Campbell played with the Beach Boys for a time. And the stories he had, and I went up and asked for if he did requests when he was selling his own CDs and stuff, and asked about Rhinestone Cowboy and Rocky Mountain High, because he did a John Denver song during one of his sets there before the intermission. And then I mentioned Johnny Cash's last song that I ever remember, called Hurt, where he's just playing the piano. And then he kind of walked away from me, and I think he was, because that piece was only with the piano, and these guys were working guitars and stuff. And his accompanist was really friendly to me. I went up and said, well, thank you for doing Rhinestone Cowboy. And he goes, you're the one that suggested that. That wasn't on our... I didn't... He didn't know all of it. He said, but we got through it. So it was a good night there.
Weird to be playing the net and doing the tribute and not know Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yeah, the main guy, who actually was from Worthington here, I'm not sure where he lives now, but a millionaire many times over, I'm sure, with all the people he's played with. He's done stuff with Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, the Beach Boys, and a bunch of other people too. I can't think of all of them. Dayton is his last name. I can't think of his first name. I guess he went to... What was that?
I said that's interesting. I went to when I lived in Arkansas. I was met up with a couple of Glenn's cousins, and became real good friends with the cousins, and they were sharing with me some private stories and stuff that they remembered when they were kids with Glenn, and pretty hilarious. He was sounds like he's a very nice family guy off stage, as well as being a good singer, and that on stage he was a good family guy too. So we lost a good singer there when we lost Glenn.
Yes, too many of them. Johnny Cash and Roy Orbison, and a lot of them have gone on, and they're not being replaced with good musicians anymore.
And I think just lately we lost Mel Tillis.
I didn't hear that one.
Yep, he just passed away, and a lot of people. The one from the Partridge Family,
David Cassidy.
Yep, he just passed away. So
yeah,
sad world, losing a lot of people. But
yep,
death plays no favorites.
That's true. It's but. Well, did you have another deal? Or?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to close off with this. I know satellite time is running down here, and so we need to get moving on. But I would like to close out with a story from England. And let me ask you this, Randy. Have you ever wrestled in gravy before?
No, there's some women I do some oil wrestling with, but...
Well, apparently there was more than 20 competitors gathered at a pub in England to battle each other in a pool of gravy for the World Gravy Wrestling Championships, because apparently wrestling in it is preferable to eating it, like much of British food. The weather is fine and the gravy is wet, they said. The World Gravy Wrestling Championship Facebook page, they got a Facebook page for Gravy Wrestling. We'll have to check that one out. A fun family day filled with hilarious wrestling moves and costumes and a thick Lancashire gravy. Never had a Lancashire gravy, have you?
No, not that I remember. Did they throw any, like, mashed potatoes or something in there, too?
Well, let's keep reading here. Maybe they'll say. According to the BBC, hundreds of people watched as 16 men and 8 women participated in 2-minute bouts inside a padded 14-foot by 13-foot pool to determine a champion. Every event organizer, Andy Holt, said the competition is harder than it looks, and admits that the aim of the competition is not necessarily designed to determine the best fighter. The point system is more about entertainment, he said. It is crazy, but it is all about having fun, and it's for a great cause. A little footnote to this: if you're into British women covered in gravy, you might want to do a Google image search of this event. Interesting. I'll have to add that to my Facebook search next time I'm on Facebook.
Gravy.
But, gravy wrestling. I've heard of mud wrestling.
Oil
and
wrestling.
Like you said, oil wrestling, but pig wrestling. I heard of pig wrestling.
Yeah.
Gravy wrestling. I wonder if it's white or brown gravy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's how hot is the gravy, I wonder.
Depends on what you put in it. Yeah, I wonder if the white gravy stays white.
That'd be.
Oh, but, that's interesting. That'd be. I'll have to check that out on Facebook later and see what they have to say about it. But rather unique. Something in England. Hey, Randy, maybe you should start something like that in Worthington.
Gravy wrestling. Buy a little kiddie pool and have some gravy.
Yeah, you could do it when they have that big, what is it, the Bogata races or something there?
Oh, the windsurfing regatta, yes, that's a big deal here.
Yeah, you could, do the gravy wrestling as a side thing. Do it up on the beach or something.
Well, actually, where they have that, the windsurfing regatta, there is no beach, really.
I'm sure you wouldn't care if there's a beach or not if you get that much gravy and you probably want to wash it off and just jump in the lake.
Yep. we could have it on stage in between bands, I suppose.
Hey, there we go. Anyway, very unique, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it comes up on my top 5 list of fantasies, though. Gravy wrestling. How about you?
No, it's not in my top 5, but I don't know. Can't lick that story. Actually, you probably could.
But I have a kind of a longer story if you care to hang on, or do you have to go?
Yeah, we can do that one, and then you have to get running here. Satellite time is running low, so let's finish up with your story, and then I've got to say goodbye to everybody. But go ahead with your last story there, or with what you got.
Give me a safe word when you have to leave, because this is a little bit longer. But this is about asexual people. And this woman writes in, her name is Stacy. She wrote about her experience about not wanting to sleep with anyone, even her husband. Dozens of readers sent emails saying that they too were asexual. Many described feeling isolated in a sexualized society. Here is a selection of their stories and a response from an asexual activist about the importance of joining a community. I'm in my 60s and have had 2 failed marriages, but I've never initiated or enjoyed sex with another person. As a teenager, it was easy to refuse it, and because it was expected to be a good girl, but family pressure meant that I was married at 21 and suddenly had no more excuses. I loved my husband and wanted to please him, but I felt no sexual desire and hated the experience of physical relationship. I never initiated sex with him, and I was almost glad when he eventually had affairs because the pressure was no longer on me to satisfy his needs. I felt overwhelmed with guilt and so cold and took all the blame for my first marriage ending. I could understand how I could love someone so much but dislike being touched by them. I married an older man 10 years ago who had led me to believe that he also was past sexual desire. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case, and he took my reluctance to have sex with him very badly. He forced me to perform acts, and I ended up hating him for it. We are going through an acrimonious divorce. In hindsight, I should never have married again. But, well, there's others, but I won't drag it on. I wonder if Dr. Phil should talk to some of these people. Get them on the right hormone or something that makes them more interested. But this is a rather long story. I didn't realize that a lot of people just don't enjoy it. You'd think there'd be some medical thing to help with that, but
yep. Or you'd think during the courtship or the dating phase, you'd discover that about the other person.
Yeah, that's a good point. You'd think you would discover that, or they should disclose that actually.
Right. Yep.
Just like somebody with an STD, But pretty soon we'll have to go through genetic blood tests, and it'll probably be an app on your phone or whatever, where you can just scan the other person and find out if they have an STD that you don't want to be involved with.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
But I know that's probably not your kind of story, but I'll leave it at that, and we can wrap it up. So.
Sounds good. Yes, that old time is down here, and I'm getting called away, so I better end it here. But Randy, it's been good to be on your podcast again, and enjoy it. And we're definitely gonna have to do it again. I've got a story for one of the future programs about a lady and a spider in a car, and another story about a guy who swallowed a bag of cocaine, and we'll have to cover that in another edition.
It might be something for Patreon, patreon.com.
Yeah, we will have to do that, and we're hopefully getting some new radio equipment in here, and be able to do some additional recording and stuff, and hopefully upcoming editions here will have some new stuff coming up, but some stories here for the next edition, that's for sure.
Let's give a big round of applause for CJ. And I'll have to, since this is not live and we don't have a studio audience, I'll have to look that sound effect up.
and as Elvis once said, thank you very much.
But yeah, and I do have a couple extra things that you won't hear at patreon.com/infotainment podcasts. If you'd like to check that out for your Star Trek and Longmire fans. But hopefully CJ will have some postings up there too eventually when we figure all that out. I'd like to say thank you for listening from the United States and abroad. I know I do have listeners in repeated listeners in the UK, which I appreciate. And like to thank you, and especially you. And hopefully we can continue the Last Stop Podcast Shop next time. Hopefully you have a good day. And bye-bye, folks.
Bye-bye, folks.
And we'll talk to you next time.
When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. You're so fucking special. But I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. I want you to notice when I'm not around. You're so fucking special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. Whatever you want. You're so fucking special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't